cover the teams in the AFC West. We're going to start with the Los Angeles Chargers, who have really emphasized the offensive line. They drafted 4 offensive linemen this year. Last time they drafted that many in a single draft, their head coach Jim Harbaugh was the starting quarterback of the Bears. That was back in 1991. They did this after allowing the second most sacks in the league last year and changing offensive coordinators, which is probably another big part of it. This is Chris Rim, who covers the Chargers for us. ESPN, NFL Nation. Everybody's in town for meetings this week. We told these guys, hey, if you want to come on NFL Live, we can get you out of your meetings. They were all excited to do it. So expectations on the rise here for this Jim Harbaugh team entering his 3rd year there. What are you hearing about how Justin Herbert is meshing with Mike McDaniel and his system?
Well, everybody is excited. Mike McDaniel said specifically that he's geeked to work with Justin Herbert, right? And last year, Justin was the league's most pressured and hit quarterback. And the Chargers went through a revolving door at both tackle spots. And the offense kind of relied on Herbert throughout the season to kind of make hero plays. And McDaniel was on the sideline for one of those games. In Week 6 last season, the Chargers were on the 42-yard line. There was around 30 seconds left to go. It looked like the game was over. Justin avoided a sack attempt from edge rusher Jalen Phillips, hit Ladd McConkey, and the Chargers ended up winning that game. But the Chargers know they can't rely on that long term. And what McDaniel was trying to do in L.A. is make life easier for Herbert. He wants to get him quick passes, easy touchdowns, easy scores, and most importantly, keep Herbert upright. And that'll get helped with Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater back, and also with McDaniel, who appears to be focused on making life easy for Justin. Yeah, it seems like he'll enjoy Justin, and Justin might enjoy Mike McDaniel. Tim, what do you think about the way Justin Herbert will fit in that system?
I think what Justin Herbert's going to like is the creativity in the run game. That, to me, is going to end up being the biggest difference. And that really is what McDaniel's expertise is. I think at times in Miami he got a little too cute with it. But, look, Harbaugh's going to want to be physical running the football. And I think that some of the creative things that they will do formationally is going to really benefit Justin Herbert. So I think it's more about the run game for Herbert, making him comfortable, than it will be anything in the passing game. I think just forcing people to defend you a certain way because of the way you're able to run the football creatively will create some opportunities in the passing attack.
Chargers trying to run down the Denver Broncos, who won the AFC West last year, and we're going to talk about them next. They were on the doorstep of the Super Bowl after bouncing back in 2025. Bo Nix, their quarterback, led the NFL in game-winning drives. Broncos tied a franchise record with 14 wins, but they didn't have Nix in the AFC Championship game where they lost to the Patriots. Their draft wasn't very exciting. They had just 1 pick in the first 3 rounds, which was the fewest of any team. That, of course, partially because they traded their first-round pick for Jalen Waddle. Jeff Legwold covers the Denver Broncos for us at ESPN. So, Jeff, first of all, what's the latest on Nix and his recovery from that injury?
Well, Dan, they're the only team in the league, I believe, that's going to have all of its off-season workouts in June, all OTAs, minicamp, and he is not expected to participate in the 11-on-11 work in any way. There's been some rumblings he may do limited things, but I do not expect to see him do anything of significance until training camp.
Even without him, they were still within 3 points of the Patriots in that game. They were that close to the Super Bowl, which you must really eat at Sean Payton. So what can you share with us in terms of their plans to get even further this year?
Yeah, well, they obviously liked the team they had. He believed it was a Super Bowl team last year, and what they do in the offseason? Well, they had 21 players who were unrestricted, restricted, or exclusive rights free agents. They re-signed 17 of them. I've never seen anything like it in all my years. Their significant move, trade for Jalen Waddle. They believe that's the one thing offensively they could not punish defenses down the field. They were near the bottom of the league in 3 and outs, 29th in the league, and drives that ended in 3 and outs. Very low impact at the tight end position, so they're looking to push the ball down the field some and punish nickel defenses in the middle of the field.
Peter, what more can you share with us on their expectations for Jalen Waddle in Denver?
I'm going to give some flowers to Jeff here because I polled a lot of different NFL GMs and coaches after the draft and said, whose big boards do you guys actually look at as far as trying to rank? It says Jeff Legwold is one of the top ones. We always have that in our hands. And I use that as a segue because they traded that first-round pick and got Jalen Waddle. One of the main reasons why was they were looking at this wide receiver draft class, and they said at the back half of the first round, we don't think Carnell Tate's going to be there. We don't anticipate Jordan Tyson going to be there. Maybe Cooper is going to be there if we're doing it in the late 20s. Maybe he ended up being there. But all three of those guys, we'll put Jalen Waddle in that conversation. And if we can exchange that pick for Jalen Waddle, that makes us all the better, and it makes us better now. So I look at their wide receivers room, and it's almost like you got a starting five in basketball where you got a speedster like Mims, you got another speedster like Jalen Waddle. Those could be your guards. Then you got the bodies like Sutton and Pat Bryant, and then you go down the list with all the different guys that can all play different roles. That's what they're excited about. And in Jalen Waddle, they have a first-round pick that they feel almost better than if they had drafted one and got one that was right out of college.
Can you tell Peter's excited about the Knicks being back in the playoffs and maybe making a run? No question about it. With the basketball,
I was fired up about your big board, Jeff. That's
analogies.
what I was fired up about.
Broncos said Jeff Legwald doesn't like any of the wide receivers down there at the end of the first round. Neither do we. Let's trade our pick for a known quantity. To Las Vegas now, where the Raiders added quarterback Fernando Mendoza with the #1 overall pick in this year's draft. They also signed veteran Kirk Cousins, who could be their starter while they take time to get Mendoza ready to go at the pro level. Clint Kubiak set to be the Raiders' 6th different head coach in the last 6 seasons. We're very happy that Ryan McFadden covers the Raiders for us here at ESPN. So, you know, what Fernando Mendoza's the story there, right? You were at the rookie minicamp last weekend. What were your impressions of what you saw?
Yeah, Mendoza mania is in full effect here in Las Vegas. One thing that stands out to Mendoza is that he's really embraced the leadership role as the quarterback of the team during practice. He was breaking the team out of the huddle, during the night before practice, on the first night, even the night before the second practice. He's having walkthroughs during the team hotel where he's listen, because he's trying to get better at learning playing under center. So during those walkthroughs, he took 25 to 50 snaps under center with each offensive lineman and participant during rookie minicamp. So yeah, he's trying to pick up the pace in terms of learning the Raiders offense and Kubiak's scheme, as well as trying to fully acclimate himself as a leader on the team.
You're saying he's trying to look at what Kirk Cousins does on film, right, and mirror some of that?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Now, Mendoza has been studying Kirk Cousins since he was in college because that was one of the players that he saw out people from the outside compare him to. So with that said, he's been studying his film for quite a bit, and now he's in the building. He has all the cut up where he's studying his footwork and how Kirk Cousins operate under center, as well as Sam Darnold during his tape with the Seattle Seahawks.
Tim, Cousins gives them an option, obviously, if they decide Mendoza isn't ready by week 1. Should he start right away? What would you do?
I don't think he needs to start right away. I think there will be some benefit to watching someone like Cousins, who is a master at, that offense. At the same time, I do think it's easier. In fact, I know it's easier to get better doing something rather than watching someone do it. So I would expect him to take over at some point in his rookie season. I don't think it has to be week 1.
All right. Brian McFadden, thanks very much. We're going to talk now about the Kansas City Chiefs, who revamped their running back room with Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker on a big free agent deal. They also traded up into the top 10 of the draft to select cornerback Mansour Delane after they lost their 2 starting corners to the Rams. Both went to the Rams, which is odd. Chiefs general manager Brett Veach spoke earlier this week on the radio about where quarterback Patrick Mahomes is in his rehab from that knee injury.
He's way ahead of schedule. I think the biggest challenge that we're going to have is protecting him against himself, because I'm sure when we get to St. Joe, Missouri for training camp, he's going to want to be full go, but we're going to have to hold him back a little. And again, I don't want to put a timetable on it, but I think you guys know the type of person and the competitor Pat is. And, I would just say we're in a really good place right now.
Our Chiefs reporter Nate Taylor joins the show. You're on the ground there in Kansas City. You hear what Veach is saying. You heard what Andy Reid said this weekend about Patrick Mahomes. Is he ahead of schedule? What are the expectations there?
Yes, he's very ahead of schedule, Dan, and that's what makes this offseason so exciting for Kansas City. Not only building the offense with a guy like Kenneth Walker, the reigning Super Bowl MVP, but now they actually anticipate Patrick Mahomes taking reps in OTAs later this month. And so that means, hey, it's offense on air to start. Then we get offense on defense, and the hope is that Mahomes can be ready to take on even more responsibility, more reps for training camp, like Brett Veach said in the clip. So for Kansas City, they're going to have to be precautious. They're going to have to be a little bit, limiting Patrick Mahomes and what he does, because they also need to get Justin Fields some reps in this offense too as the expected backup quarterback. But for right now, the offseason has gone really well for Patrick Mahomes because he's not only been training, but he's been rehabbing just about every day, which has given him the chance to really have a joyful moment later this month when he is back in the huddle with his teammates. I can't imagine how excited he's going to be when he's actually on the field doing OTA sort of reps with the rest of his teammates.
All right, so that's all sounds very encouraging, Peter. So let's live in a world where Patrick Mahomes bounces back and he's ready to go and he's his old self. What are your expectations for that Kansas City offense this year?
I think Nate's on it in that they're going to have to kind of play governor to how much they can use him. They always play Patrick Mahomes in the preseason. They always get that moment where the fans can see him, and he usually plays 2 quarters. I would imagine it's a conversation not only in St. Joe's, but it's also before that preseason game. Like, maybe this is the year we don't do that, and we just kind of ease into things. I will say this. The Chiefs made their roster very evident when they drafted 4 defensive players with their first 4 draft picks, all at 4 different positions. It sounds like the Jimmies and Joes on offense, they feel comfortable with. It was the defensive guys that they felt they needed to add there. So their offense is good. And I think Nate will add on this. After this last couple of days of what they had going on, there is a little buzz there already about their day 3 pick, Emmett Johnson, the running back out of Nebraska. So whereas you lose Isaiah Pacheco, you also pick up a new day 3 guy who led the nation in yards per scrimmage per game. Nate, maybe you can add to that, but Emmett Johnson was the talk after that rookie minicamp.
He is the player that got a lot of receptions in rookie minicamp, showed a lot of speed, shows an ability to get yards after the catch as well. So he could easily be able to find himself a role as a rookie alongside Kenneth Walker. I know they have Demo Cardo as well in the running back room. So it's an overall different change from the running back position moving forward. And again, all that should take less of the burden off Patrick Mahomes, especially if he's going to be on the field like he hopes for week 1 to lead that Chiefs offense.
Chiefs trying to build up the running game to make life easier on Patrick.